So here we go. Now, remember, notice it says review for quiz sections 1-1 through 1-4. So this is why I'm giving you 7 examples, because there's a lot of information in 4 sections, okay? So I'm trying to pick and choose certain things that maybe cross over with other things, okay? That way I don't have to give you 14 examples. So I decided to do half of them, okay? And that should get you through a good amount of information on the test. I will tell you that it's very important that you study the stuff I give you, okay? Review this, because it can really like help you remember how to do things for the next day, okay? You will not have homework tonight. Your homework is to study. Unless you haven't done any of your homework, well then get your homework done. I'm going to collect your homework on Friday, okay? That way I can give you as much time as possible to do the quiz with, okay? So Friday I'm collecting. Now, here is this first problem. This is probably going to be the worst problem of the quiz because it takes the longest, okay? But it doesn't mean it's hard. It takes the longest to do. So here we go. Solve by graphing. If no exact root can be found, state the integers between where they are located. So remember I told you sometimes when you graph it, you can't hit like the right point, so then you just got to tell me between which numbers, okay? So the equation is negative x squared plus 3x plus 1. And I told you guys when we do this, you got to do this in 3 steps, okay? I don't know if you still remember, but first part, axis of symmetry, x equals negative b over 2a, all right? So you need to start with the axis of symmetry. Your ABCs are here. Your A is negative 1, B is 3, C is 1, okay? So let's plug it in. X equals to negative b, that's negative 3 over 2 times a, which is negative 1. Okay? So if I simplify that, that's 3 over 2. So now I know that my axis of symmetry is 3 over 2. The next step is your vertex. You got to find your vertex. Where is the low point, the high point? So let's figure out my vertex. So vertex. The way I told you to find the vertex is you take your axis of symmetry, x equals to something, and you're going to plug it into your equation, okay? So I'm going to find f of 3 halves. In other words, I'm plugging in 3 halves into this equation right here. Ignore the equal 0, just into the negative x squared plus 3x plus 1, okay? So I know it's a fraction. You guys are going to be able to use calculators, so don't freak out, okay? So negative 3 halves squared plus 3 times 3 halves plus 1. Now I'm going to do this in my head, but again, you'll have calculators. You can punch it in, okay? So that's negative 9 over 4 plus 9 over 2 plus 1. Now, since I'm doing this in my head, I got to get the same denominators. I don't know if you guys remember doing this a long time ago, but that's what you're supposed to do. Every number has to become over 4, right? So this could be 4 over 4 because it's 1. 9 over 2 will become 18 over 4 because I double it, right, to make it a 4 on the bottom. I have to double top and bottom. And the first one, I leave it alone. So now I can do the work. Negative 9 plus 18 is 9, plus 4 is 13. So this is 13 over 4. Again, I'm just doing this in my head. You guys can punch it into a calculator and get it done a lot faster. Okay, so my vertex is 3 halves, 13 over 4. This is my vertex. Remember how I did a squiggly line on the notes when I did them, right? Remember, I tell you, my notes stay consistent to help you know what you're looking at. So I'm going to put this point on this graph. 3 over 2 is 1.5 for x. And 13 over 4, that's 3 1/4. So 1.5, 3 1/4. So right about there. Okay, so 1.5, 3 1/4. Now, the graph has to open downwards. Okay, I know that because of this negative, but if you didn't, don't worry. What was the next part that I'm supposed to do? There's a third part. Axis of symmetry, vertex, and then I had to make a chart, right? A little XY thing. So let me make a chart. I have x, y. Remember, my axis of symmetry, or my vertex, I'm sorry, goes in the middle. Okay, so that 3 halves, 13 over 4 goes right in the middle. So I'm going to kind of put a little box around it so you know where I'm at. Okay? But remember, you're supposed to pick a number before 3.5, a number after 3.5. So if 3.5 is 1.5, a number before would be 1, and a number after 1.5 would be 2. And remember, they're supposed to be the same distance from 1.5, from 3.5, right? This is half a point before, half a point after. The reason why you want them the same distance is so that when you figure out this answer, you just copy it to the other one. So let's plug in the 1. What happens when I plug in a 1? I'm going to put f of 1. So that's negative 1 squared plus 3 times 1 plus 1. I'm plugging it into the equation. So that's negative 1 plus 3 plus 1. That's 3. So this is 3, and the other one is 3. So now let me put those 2 points, and I'm going to draw the graph. So 1 is 3, 2 is 3, and now I'm going to draw it. All right, so let me zoom into that drawing. The solutions are where the graph crosses the x-axis. Remember that? Where it crosses the x-axis. Does it cross perfectly on any number? Not really, right? So you could tell me the answer is between negative 1 and 0 and 3 and 4. That's all you have to say. Between negative 1 and 0 and 3 and 4. So I'm going to write that down. Between negative 1 and 0, between 3 and 4. And that would be the solution to this problem. Okay? So between negative 1 and 0, between 3 and 4. Now, if it happened to cross by 4 exactly, then just write 4. Okay? Your answers will vary from mine, I'm pretty sure. But they can't be really bad. Like, you can't be like, oh, between 6 and 7 and between negative 6 and negative 7. That means that you open it up way too far, right? Okay. So, what is yours? There you go. So, are we okay with this one? This is like the longest problem we're going to do today. Everything else will be shorter. Okay? But there will be one like this. There's going to be another one kind of like this, but easier. The numbers will make more, they won't be fractions. They'll be cleaner. Okay? But if you can do this one, you can do the other one. Okay? Do we have any questions on this one? Because I think after this, the rest is pretty manageable. But you can see how much work it required to do one problem. And like I told you, these were the worst. When we went over them, these were like the hurt. I don't mean the worst as in they were so difficult we couldn't do it. I just mean they were the worst in the time it took to do the work. It wasn't difficult. Axis symmetry is a simple equation. Vertex, not hard to do. But it takes time. Are we okay with this? Anybody? All right. So here's the next one. Now this one requires a formula. Okay? This one requires a formula. Determine the average rate of change. Okay? By the way, as you guys are doing this, I'm thinking that tomorrow I will write down the main formulas you would need to do this. Usually I don't, but I'm probably going to write the average rate of change formula. I'm probably going to write the axis of symmetry, how to find a vertex. I'll probably put that stuff up there. It's the first quiz, right? Let's try to be a little bit nice. Hopefully you guys will do well. So determine the average rate of change of f of x over the interval. Okay? And then they give me the function. They give me an interval, negative 2 to 2. Here is how you do these, okay? The AROC. The formula for average rate of change is f of b minus f of a over b minus a. And if you're wondering where the heck is b and where the heck is a, it's right here. It's the interval. I know normally we say that 2 is a and 1 is b and c is -2, but they're talking about the a and the b from the interval. Okay? Once we have that, then we just plug it in and work it out. So here we go. F of b, that's f of 2, minus f of a, that's f of -2, over b minus a. Well, b is 2 minus a is -2. So all I have to do, plug in a 2 into my equation, plug in a -2 into my equation, then I'll just have normal numbers. I simplify and I'm done. Okay? It's pretty quick, but it does take a little bit of effort to find those values. So I'm going to do a little bit of side work. So I'm going to change to green. F of 2, let's see what I get. That's 2 times 2 squared plus 2 minus 2. I plugged it into f of x, okay? So let's see. That's 2 times 4 plus 2 minus 2. That's 8 plus 2 minus 2. So that's equal to 8. And again, you guys can do this on your calculator. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it, right? You can have it do the work for you. So I know that f of 2 is 8, so I'm going to put that right here. Minus, let's figure out what f of -2 is. I'm going to use blue. So it's 2 times -2 squared plus a -2 minus a 2. I plug it into my equation. Okay? 2 times 4 minus 2 minus 2. That's 8 minus 2 minus 2. So that's a 4. Again, I know I'm going kind of fast, but it's just I don't want to kill too much time on computations. Okay? So 8 minus 4 goes right here. Notice this is not supposed to be hard, guys. You might be saying like, oh, it's not. You're plugging in a number and you're just checking what you get. Okay? Just know that that's what you're supposed to do. All right? And whether you do it with your calculator or not, it just might make it easier. Depends. Now the bottom part, 2 minus a -2. That really means 2 plus 2. So that's 4. 8 minus 4, 4. What's 4 divided by 4? 1. Here's my average rate of change. It's not a hard process. It's pretty easy. The only part that takes a little bit of time is when you plug in your f of a and your f of b. And that really depends on you. If you're really like fast at the math, then you're going to fly right through it. If it takes you a little bit more time, you may have to put it into your calculator. Okay? You guys do know that you can actually input it into your calculator exactly the way I wrote it here, right? You type 2 parenthesis -2 close parenthesis squared plus parenthesis -2 close parenthesis minus 2. You can literally write that out. Hit enter and it's going to spit out the answer. Okay, I'm telling you, your calculator is a powerful tool. Learn to use it. You can use it in this class, so learn to use it, okay? But it can do that. And if you're for some reason you can't figure it out tomorrow, just raise your hand. I'll try to help you out. Are we good with this one? Okay, this one, do me a favor. Don't even write it down, okay? It's going to take us 2 seconds to do. You ready? Don't write it down. What are the answers? -2 and 2. Done. Okay? There's a problem like that on your test. They're just going to draw a picture and they're going to say, where are the solutions? You're going to look and you're going to say, oh, it crosses at -2. It crosses at +2. So my answers are -2 and +2. That's it. It's not even going to be like in between. No. It's going to cross, I think, perfectly if I remember correctly. Okay? So don't even write it down. Just remember, the answers are on the x-axis. Okay? All right. There will be some of these. Unfortunately, your calculator cannot help you through all of this. Remember, negative square roots result in the letter I. Okay? So we're going to do a couple of these. And if I can, I'll try to get the factoring ones done with you guys too. But we're going to simplify this. Now, if you guys remember when I taught this to you guys, if you don't remember and you don't believe me, go back and look at the video, okay? But I said this to you guys. If you see a negative in the radical, then take it out and you write I instead. So I'm going to write I square root of 18 times I square root of 3. Okay? That's what you're supposed to do immediately. Then you're going to multiply. I times I, that's I squared. And then 18 times 3, what did I get? 24, that's 54. What's I squared? Negative 1. So this becomes negative square root of, now we got to think of 54. We got to break it down. Now, just so you know, at this point, you could actually, on your calculator, press square root of 54, and it's going to give you an answer. Okay? You can actually do that. All right? But if you don't have a calculator, you're going to have to break it down. So, give me two numbers that multiply to 54, one of which has a square root. 9 and 6. That's a good choice. 9 times 6. What's the square root of 9? 3. So that's going to come out. There is no square root to 6. So my answer is negative 3 square root of 6. And that's my solution. Unfortunately, the calculators I let you guys use, even though they're really, really good, they don't do imaginary units. If you want imaginary units, you need to purchase the $150 or more calculators. Which, if you're going to spend $150, I'd rather you buy like a Wii or something instead. I don't know. I'd rather not get a calculator. Well, I mean, I got one for $200, but I'm a math teacher, so I use it. But if you're not going to use it, don't do it. Are we okay with this one? So remember, I is square root of negative 1. I squared is just negative 1. So I'll try to remember to put that up on the board for you guys as well. I'll also write down all the square roots and stuff. I can hear? Yeah, go ahead. So yeah, just remember the I values, okay? Study them, go over them, just kind of revisit. We have 3 more examples, I think, that I want to do with you guys. Let me just check real quick. Yeah. So 3 more examples. There are some more with I in the test where you're multiplying like 2I times 3I. There's going to be one where you're adding the I's together, like 5I plus 6I. That's 11I. They're pretty easy. Just look at your homework. Like I said, make sure you can do your homework. If you can do your homework, you should be just fine. Okay? If you're struggling, you guys got to come talk to me. Or you guys heard the announcements. Mr. Grant, I think, is the one that's doing the tutoring after school. So if you guys don't want to come see me, you'd rather see Mr. Grant, go for it. Okay? I don't get jealous if you go to other math teachers. If you prefer Ms. Martinez over me, go to Ms. Martinez. I don't mind. Find someone you feel comfortable with and ask for help. Okay? I don't have an ego as a teacher. I do have an ego as a gamer, and not as a teacher. So, all right. The last 3 examples we literally just kind of did. Okay? So hopefully all this stuff kind of just comes back to you immediately. The last 3 examples are all factoring. We just did factoring the past 2 days. Okay? So hopefully it's still in here. Solving this. Now, the first thing you do when you're factoring is you ask yourself how many terms, like it's going to say equals 0, but how many terms on the left side once you get it equal to 0? I only have 2. So if you only have 2 terms, you got 2 options. Either it's a difference of 2 squares. Does that look like a difference to you? No. So it's not a difference of 2 squares. Or it's a common factor. Okay? Well, do they have a number that can divide both 12 and 3? Yeah, 3. Do they have a letter that can be taken out from both of those terms? An X. So I know a 3 can divide them. I know an X can be taken out. Remember, to factor means to divide, right? So here we go. 12 divided by 3, that's 4. And then if I take 1x, out of 2 of them, I have 1 left, right? So it's going to be 4x plus 3x, right? 3x divided by 3x, what is that? 1, right? They cancel out. 3x divided by 3x, that's just 1. All right, great. We factored. Now we just have to solve. Remember, the zero product property says split this up, set it equal to 0. So 3x equals 0, 4x plus 1 equals 0. You solve both of them, okay? So you're going to divide both sides by 3 for the first one. So x equals 0. And then you're going to subtract 1, divide by 4. So we're going to move the 1 over. That's 4x is negative 1. Then divide by 4. I know I'm going kind of fast. I apologize. But like I said, I'm not trying to reteach this to you guys. I'm trying to remind you now. Okay? Here are your two answers. Remember, I told you, I'm totally happy if you give me these two answers. They don't have to be in set notation. But if you want to, it would look like this. Okay? But you don't have to. This is just the normal, though. That's what you'll see in colleges and state exams, all that stuff, benchmarks. That's what they want. But if you don't do it, it's okay. You still got the right answer. I'm not going to mark you wrong. Okay? 2 more, guys. Thank you for sticking with me here. We literally did this one yesterday. Okay? So we literally did this one yesterday. Remember, you're supposed to set it equal to 0. That's not equal to 0. So I have to move this over. When I move that over, it becomes a negative 195 on that side. So negative 30 minus 195 is negative 225. Now, I have 2 terms again. So if I have 2 terms, it can only be factored one of 2 ways. It's either a difference of 2 squares or common factors. Does this even have a chance of being a difference of 2 squares? Well, yeah, difference. Can I write this and this as squares? Well, we did it yesterday, or the day before yesterday. It was x squared minus 15 squared equals 0. Okay? If you're wondering, oh man, I'm not going to remember the square root to 225 or what, I'm going to write them down for you guys. Okay? I'll make a list to write all the square roots. I'll write down the i's. I'll write down the formulas. I'll try my best to give you some help for your first quiz. Okay? So you're not like anxious about I don't remember my formulas, I'm doomed, right? No, I'll try to help you out. Okay? So now we're going to factor this according to the difference of 2 squares. Break them apart and solve. Okay? So x minus 15 equals 0. X plus 15 equals 0. So I'm just going to solve each one individually. I get x equals 15, x equals negative 15. So we're done. Here's one answer. Here's the other. I'm not even going to write it as set notation. I just leave it like that. So the last one, I don't remember if this is a perfect square or not. No, it's not. So the one thing I'm going to let you guys have to do on your own, put a little note on your notes right now. Perfect square trinomials. Perfect square trinomials. Look at the notes from yesterday. That was yesterday's lesson. Remember, there's a trick. You find the square for the first term and the last term. And then that helps you break it down real easy. Okay? I'm not going to do one of those because I'm already taking a bunch of your time. I at least want to give you 10 minutes to chill. We got 17 minutes. So if I can do 7 minutes right now or less, the rest of the time I'll let you guys relax. And you'll be able to get your phones right away. So I'm not going to make you wait. Okay? So this one, you look at it, it's 3 terms. So it's not a difference of 2 squares. It's not common factors because it's not 2 terms. It's 3 terms. So you either have, so you have 2 options with 3 terms. It's either a perfect square trinomial or it's an x method. This can be written as something squared, x squared, but there's no number that I can square that gives me 26. So it's not a perfect square trinomial. Okay? So that means it's an x method problem. So I'm going to do an x. This is my A, my B, and my C. Okay? This was done 2 days ago, this lesson. Remember, we call it the butterfly method, right? If you wanted to do it that way. So A times C goes on top. That's negative 26. B goes on the bottom. That's 11. Think of two numbers that multiply to a negative 26 that add up to 11. We're going to have negative 2 and a positive 13. So negative 2 times 13 is negative 26. Negative 2 plus 13 is 11. So good. We got it. You're supposed to divide, right? Once you find these numbers, you're supposed to divide by A. A is 1. So do I have to divide? No. Dividing by 1 doesn't change anything. But if A was like 3, then yeah, I got to divide. Okay? So I'm not even going to divide because it's a 1. So here we go. We're done. Let's write out the factors. So x's go here because that's the letter I'm using. The minus 2 and the plus 13. Okay? Solve each one and we're done. And then you guys can chill. So we have x minus 2 equals 0. X plus 13 equals 0. Solve each one individually. That's going to make x equal to 2. X equal to negative 13. And there are my solutions. So let me stop the video here and then I'll talk to you guys about studying.